On this video, I'm going to show you how proper dimensioning in rebar shop drawings has to be done. On this, right now, what you see is pretty much rectangle building, but we don't see any dimensions for this guy. Okay, when you look at the architectural plans, they give you dimensions between the column lines, and we need to show these dimensions in our shop drawings. Plus, we need more. These are not enough. Why? First, you need to understand how surveying works. How does it work? When concrete contractor goes into the site, there's nothing out there. Pretty much nothing. I mean, if you look at this, this is what's your site look like. Some dirt, that's all. There's gonna be just some dirt. Okay, so concrete guy goes to the GC and tells him, okay, I need corner points of the building. Give me 4 corners of the building. This corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner, and some dimensions from these corner lines offset the column lines. For example, column F and column line 3. And surveyor goes to the site, and let me try to show you, and gives you these offset points. Here, what's going to be at the site? After surveyor goes to the site, he puts some stakes on the ground and he provides this drawing. He tells you, okay, I put these stakes on the ground, okay, and this stake is 10 foot from the face of the exterior face of the concrete wall, 10 foot back, the same way this direction, and same way to cross the line. All 4 corners, he provides stakes. So these are lines up, okay, and we get a straight line. When you go to the site, concrete guy sees these stakes on the ground. When he sees these stakes on the ground, what it does, he puts some string lines. He put some string lines like ropes. Let me get rid of this grid system. So he put some ropes on the ground to put his footing forms. So, but when he's putting his footing forms, he still works from his surveyor's exterior face of the walls. He doesn't have exterior face of the footings. He has to work from the walls. So wall dimensions are critical. Okay. Now let's go to this drawing, for example. Okay. This one has a lot of ins and outs and everything. And surveyor, let's say surveyor give him a couple points here and there at the corners, at the corner of the building, 10 foot of this corner this way and 10 foot from this way. Same thing, 4 corners of the building. And then what concrete guy does is, he's got a line up with the face of the wall. He puts string line from one to the another all around, and he uses those stakes surveyor provided. When you put his string lines, he pulls off dimensions from this string line. To set his formwork for the footings, for example, he pulls off the dimension from this exterior face of the wall to here. For example, this, let's say if this 2 foot footing, let's say if this is 24 inches, he goes like 7 inches this side, and this gotta be 7 inches. So he pulls off 7 inches from this side of this face of the exterior face of the wall to set his form for the footing. And he takes 17 inches because wall is 10 inches, 10 plus 7, 17 inches here to set this form. So all the dimensions works from the exterior face of the wall. Let's understand this. Now, you know this now, okay? So what dimensions we have to give them? We gotta give them corner to corner, exterior face of the walls, corner to corner. This dimension. Okay, this we said, this dimension, all of them. Okay, these dimensions, this. We have to provide these dimensions all around the building. If these dimensions are the same, you can just provide one. That will be enough for all of them. If it's a different dimension, then you have to provide all of them. So one dimension here. And interior walls, you got to provide dimension from here to there, and wall to wall. And you have to provide thicknesses, wall thicknesses. And then width of the footings, and what's the offset for the footing edges. Sometimes footing will be off. This is critical because on the footings especially, settings dowels are very critical. If they set the dowels in the wrong place, they have to chop it out, they drill them back in, and they may have to remove the footing too. There's another problem. Then it will be very costly. So even in the footing shop drawings for the wall footings, you need to provide dimensions for the walls. Don't give dimensions for the footings. That's worthless. You always give dimension for the walls, and they take from there. When you give them this offset dimensions, that's all they need. They can figure out the rest. So you already know this. We gotta provide exterior wall corners, corner to corner dimensions. We also have to provide dimensions for the column lines, grid lines, dimensions between column lines. Okay, these all of these dimensions you have to provide. Not only that, sometimes most of the time columns at the center of the, like this one, columns at the center of the grid lines, but sometimes not. You have to, if not, this is good enough. Okay, this is perfect. Or you can just give him this dimension, that will be okay too. You gotta give him this dimension, we'll take this as well. But sometimes columns are offset. Let's say this column, for example, it's not at the center at the grid line. So what you'll do, you give him the dimension from either side, either this side or that side. You give him one dimension and another dimension from here or here. Okay, and let's take a look at the column footings, for example, here. On this drawing, I believe everything at the center of the column lines, if you just provide these dimensions for the column line to column line grid dimensions, there will be enough to locate this column footings and columns and give some dimensions for example, F10 footing. Okay, we can guess this is 10 by 10 footing, but just give one dimension for each type of footing. It doesn't really hurt much. And you got like F13, so many F13s here, just give one dimension for here for one of them. F13, 13 feet here, 13 feet here. So guy in the field knows he's make sure F13 is 13 feet long. Sometimes engineer may use something else. For F13, he can use some other dimension. He doesn't have to use 13 feet. And for the walls, we said exterior corner to corner dimensions. For the openings, yes, you have to provide dimensions corner to corner. These are very useful at the site. If there's an angle, give them angle from here. That's the straight line. Let's get a straight line here. Give them the angle from straight line, especially from outside of the corner. What is it? 3 degrees, 2 degrees, whatever is it. This angle is not gonna be useful for them. And you can give another angle for here. This angle maybe. After setting this wall, actually this may work. You can pull from the other wall. But before setting this wall, there's no other wall, so this is not gonna work. Okay, at the site, we don't have any dimensions. We have just surveyors. You got to keep this in your mind. At the site, they don't have any dimensions on the field written. Plan is not just there's some string lines. This is your exterior face of the wall, and he's pulling off dimensions to set his footings. Let's say 7 inches this side, 17 inches this side. So he can set his footing forms. And then with the same from the same string line, he goes off like a inch and a half back to set his doubles. Okay, so it is very important to understand what dimensions need to be given. Okay, we given to first, we given dimensions for the grid lines. On each grid line, we gotta provide dimensions. Second, all exterior walls, corner to corner, exterior face of the wall. And we gotta give the thickness so they can figure out the interior face of the wall. When you give him a thickness of the wall, he can basically get the dimension. He's just gonna set his form 10 foot off from his first formwork. So it's gonna be easy for him. They just snap a line on top of the footing and they're good to go. Okay, this is basically it is. And then another thing to one more thing I want to talk about the, for example, openings on the slabs and this shear walls. Let's say they wanna they doing this wall. Okay, you providing first of all, you gotta give them a dimension from exterior slab edges. Corner to corner, corner to corner, all the dimensions exterior you need to provide. And then columns, column locations. And I will give them this, how much distance from this column line. Okay, at each corner. Give them location, how they're gonna locate them. Make it easy for them. And imagine this, how they're gonna locate this shear wall. Okay, we gave them the dimensions for all exterior of the shear wall, but where it goes, how far away from any column line. So we have this column line, for example, we can provide just this dimension so they can locate it at north-south direction, and I need to provide them another dimension to locate it east-west. So they can easily locate this corner and they take it from there. Same thing on this one. Just give me dimension east-west and north-south for the same corner or different corner from the column lines. From known grid lines are your known lines. But this wall, we don't know how far away from the grid line unless you provide a dimension. So grid lines are known. You just put a little dimension here, how far away from the grid line. Same thing here. Same thing on the openings. You provide dimension for the opening. These are the size of his formwork, but where he is going to put his formwork. Okay, I hope you understand. You give the dimensions this for this opening. Okay, where I'm gonna put this opening. Okay, it looks here, but where? A little bit over here, a little bit down. Where this location is on the field. It is very important. You need to provide dimension from a known grid line. Here, this dimension each way from north, south, and east, west. And now they can locate where this guy goes to. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.